TreVeyon Henderson and Emeka Egbuka made money by staying at Ohio State. And I'm not talking about NIL.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, here on Tuesday, April 30th in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. One thing people enjoy doing is making money. Doesn't matter the age. You could be a youngster with a lemonade stand or someone that's been in the same occupation for 50 years. People enjoy making money. It allows us to, one, pay the bills. We all want to keep that roof over our head and food on our tables. We all want to do those things. But also, money allows us to do some things with the people we love, or just do some things solo that will allow you and help you enjoy life. Money helps us go to Ohio State football games and basketball games and baseball and softball, whatever the sport. Money allows us to enjoy Ohio State athletics, wear Ohio State apparel, and do it with a smile on our faces. That's what money allows us to do. And there are times in life you make financial decisions, one, that will maybe help sustain you where you currently are financially, and that's the goal. But also there are times you make financial decisions that will help you sustain the status financially you're currently on, but at the same time, that decision will help you make more money in the future. And that's how I think about TreVeyon Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, Denzel Burke, and other players that decided to stay at Ohio State for one more year in 2024 to finish some unfinished business. By doing that, they're making themselves more money in the future. Now, not only are they going to make themselves more money in the future, that's something that we all hope. We hope by staying at Ohio State, your draft stock goes up. By what? You playing better. You being a better football player. When it comes to TreVeyon Henderson, yes, he is one where there are question marks about his game. He does a lot of good things when he's on the field, but there are still some question marks about his game. Denzel Burke probably would have been a first-round pick. I think Denzel Burke is one of the few guys that would have been a first-round pick among the guys that stayed in Columbus, but he stayed. And what can he do? Raise his draft stock and be, top 20, top 15 pick in the upcoming year if he plays the way the many people think he will in 2024. Emeka Egbuka is another one. Now, there's a full list on my notebook here. We're going to touch on a lot of these guys later on in the show. But one thing we know about Emeka Egbuka, 2022 film, better than the 2023 film. What's also in context, the 2023 film is in the midst of him dealing with an injury where he missed numerous games in 2023. So, yes, he could have gone to the NFL draft. He gotten drafted. Probably would not have been a first-round pick due to the injury and the way that last year went. But what do you find? By him staying in school, what do you believe? Like you do with all the other Buckeye players, they're going to get better. And by getting better, they're raising their draft stock. And they would not be able to do that if they did not stay in school. And one thing that Ohio State players currently have right now is unfinished business. A lot of these older guys, that I believe this is a great way and a great motivator for them in the upcoming season, a lot of the older guys are upset, are annoyed because the Buckeyes didn't complete any of their goals the past 3 years. They have 3 goals every year: to beat the team up north, win the Big Ten, and to win the Natty. Haven't completed any of them since 2019. None of them. 2019, they beat the team up north, was the last time they beat that team up north. 2019, won the Big Ten, but didn't win the Natty. 2020, didn't win the didn't play the team up north, so there was no chance for them to even accomplish that goal. But you win the Big Ten, go to the Natty, and get smacked by Alabama. But what are you doing? You're accomplishing your goals. One of the weirdest things right now that Ohio State's in the midst of a period where they haven't accomplished any of their goals since 2020. None of them. That's odd. That feels weird. Now, Also, these are pretty lofty goals that Ohio State has set for every single season. It's not for the faint of heart. Not everybody is meant for Ohio State, like Ryan Day said on the Late Kick with Josh Pate. I believe that show aired a week ago. Also, shout out to Josh Pate for doing a phenomenal job with that interview and handling that thing very, very well and getting Ryan Day. I think when you respect the person you're talking to and as interviewing you, it's great. But also as the interviewer, you have to be able to ask certain questions or say certain things to be able to pull more out of the person you're talking to. And I believe one, Day has mad respect for Josh Pate, but also two, I believe Josh Pate was pulling things out of Day that made that interview a whole lot better. But Ryan Day said it. Ohio State's not meant for everybody. You got to be built of something different, made of something tough to be at Ohio State to play football. It's not for everyone. It is not. And for the guys that stayed, it is for them. But also, number two, they can make themselves more money. I will say a lot of these guys made themselves more money by staying at Ohio State, which is what you want to do. Now, what these guys have is unfinished business. And with their unfinished business, what do they need to do? Police the locker room. Make sure guys are all on the same page. If somebody is on the same page but is not developing in the way that you think they should, but also you know that they can be coached up by their peers to play a little bit better, the guys inside that locker room, the players can actually help this situation in a great, great way. My wife and I recently started watching the show on the Netflix, a docuseries called Unlocked. A sheriff goes into a jail in Pulaski County in Arkansas. I actually used to live in that area, in Pulaski County, not near that jail. But I do believe that the sheriff comes in and says, hey, we want to change up your structure. The structure of the inmates is 23-1. 23 hours locked up in a cell, 1 hour outside of the cell. Once that hour is up, you go back inside that cell for another 23 hours. Does not sound fun at all. It does not. But the sheriff comes in and says, hey, we want to leave the doors unlocked. We want to allow you to police the community, police the jail, but also be able to see if people break the rules. Now, the sheriff comes in, sets some rules, sets some guidelines. If you guys break these rules or any of these things happen, here is the sequence of events, and here may be the consequences for you people, the people inside the jail. Now, I would say it's a show that's not for everybody, just like Ohio State's not for everybody. This show is not for everybody. It's one of those where the language is a little harsher, and there is some aggression that is showed in a very physical way. That's all I'm going to say about the show. If you want to watch it, great. But I will say it's not for everybody. But one thing I saw while watching this docuseries, I think my wife and I have one episode left. The people inside, there are some guys that start to police everything, start to try to attempt to. Now, you know that the older guys and the younger guys, the younger guys didn't want to listen to the older guys. Sometimes the older guys try to do the right, try to lead it, but then also they cause some trouble. So very interesting show. I'm giving a free little pub here. Just go watch it. But however, one thing I noticed in this show is that there are people inside the jail, once things were open, that were trying to police things to keep it so that the doors were unlocked. This was an experiment the sheriff was doing to try to see, hey, can we alter what the rules are for the inmates, and does it change things? He added free phone calls, and he allowed more, I think, more visits. It was visits every couple of weeks, and it was 2 visits a week. And he was allowing more freedom as the people inside were showing, hey, we can handle the freedom. But also, they were policing each other. They knew there was a goal, and there were people inside that were trying to accomplish said goal so that they can keep the doors unlocked. Now, Ohio State's locker room is not like a jail cell, so don't get me wrong. But however, the people inside Ohio State's locker room, the leaders, the guys that stayed in school, that can police things and say, look, this is what we have to do to accomplish our goals in 2024. If you're with us, great. If you're not, okay, we understand that too. But if you're with us, here is what we're going to do to accomplish these goals. And I believe with Denzel Burke and not Cade Stover, he's gone to Houston. We'll talk about him later. And Henderson and Egbuka and others staying in school, they're making themselves money, but also they're setting Ohio State up in a great way to accomplish all their goals in 2024. One thing that the draft had in 2024 for the Buckeyes was a very small class. I don't think the same thing will happen for the Buckeyes in 2025's NFL draft. I'll tell you why next. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. One of the confusing things, maybe sometimes puzzling things about the NBA playoffs is the tip times. Sometimes the tip time works for your schedule. Sometimes it does not. Also, if you're in a game 5 and it may not be a game 6, but there is a game 6 because of the outcome of game 5, you're saying, oh, I want to get tickets, but I don't know if I can go. I don't know who I can go with. And there are so many logistics that go into it. Well, once you figure everything out, Gametime has tickets at the last minute. The prices go down. It's very advantageous for people like yourself. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. And some of you are like me, looking forward to the upcoming NFL season in the fall. We all love NFL football. We all love watching C.J. Stroud sling that rock all around the yard. And C.J. Stroud currently has the third best betting odds via our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook to win AP NFL regular season MVP at plus 1,000. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Josh Allen. Number 3, C.J. Stroud for the Houston Texans. 4, Joe Burrow. 5, Lamar Jackson. And 6, Justin Herbert. That's elite company. And I'm not shocked Stroud's in the conversation, and it wouldn't shock me if you won it in the fall. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on the YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Ohio State's, and as we talked about yesterday's show, their 2024 NFL draft class was confusing. While celebrating numerous Buckeyes that got drafted, the 4 in Eichenberg and Stover and Michael Hall Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr., we were also a little confused by some of the guys that did not get drafted, but that just goes to show that sometimes some guys in the pre-draft process, they raise their draft stock, sometimes they don't, but also the film doesn't lie. And when it comes to the film, the guys that are drafted this year, okay, that's gone. Looking forward to seeing those guys play in the NFL. Also, looking ahead to the upcoming season, I mean, we're looking at a year where the Buckeyes could have a lot of guys drafted. Now, I have this broken down by older guys that are somewhat in the middle, guys that are a little bit on the younger side as far as being draft eligible right now at this point in the offseason or this point in their careers. And I'm currently trying to look at this list and say, well, what guys will be drafted in the upcoming season? What guys might be drafted? What guys won't be drafted? And I have a check, an X, and basically a hyphen saying they're kind of even. I'm not sure where to lean right now. But one thing I do know is this. A big draft class is going to be cool, but a big draft class, I think, at Ohio State shouldn't. I mean, 10 plus is a lot, but that's not going to happen every single year. So, it's not realistic to think that Ohio State's going to have 10, 11, 12 guys drafted every single year. That's not realistic at all. But what we do have right now is a year where the Buckeyes probably will have no less than 10 guys drafted over a 7-round period of the upcoming NFL draft in 2025. Denzel Burke will get drafted. And here's why I'm saying that this draft class is going to get big. Denzel Burke, yes. Emeka Egbuka, yes. Jack Sawyer, yes. JT Tuimoloau, yes. TreVeyon Henderson, yes. Tyleik Williams, yes. Jordan Hancock, yes. Now, there was some talk this year that Hancock might go to the NFL. That kind of confused me. This is not because Hancock's a bad player, but I just didn't think that he had done enough so far to go ahead and leave, to go ahead and be playing the football in the NFL. He was splitting time last year. Now, this was not all his fault. It was just trying to figure out what is the best spot for the players. And situationally, you got one guy on the field a little bit in Hancock, one guy coming in as Sonny Styles that kind of places him in that way. Now, there are other guys that don't have to come out, but could come out. And let's just say they do come out. I think Quinshon Judkins, assuming things go well, and he plays phenomenal for Ohio State, I think Judkins will get drafted. Igbenogson, I think he will get drafted. I don't think he'll be a day 2 guy, probably more a day 3 guy. Simmons and Jackson are going to be very, very interesting. I think that they can do some good things, but I think Jackson has to do a lot to raise his draft stock to Donovan Jackson. I think Simmons can. The way that he looked in the spring game and the way that he's physically made up and he's improved and made some alterations to his nutritional program at Ohio State, I firmly think if Simmons takes those strides, he will get drafted in the fall. Sonny Styles, does he stay or does he go? If Sonny Styles plays linebacker in a good way, in a big way, and makes big plays, he will get drafted. CJ Hicks, I have no idea. He is one of those guys where your boy has no idea what to expect. Like, I think CJ Styles can be good. I mean, CJ Hicks can be good. I won't deny that part. But am I going to sit here and say that he will get drafted based on what? I haven't really seen him play. I haven't seen him play Ohio State football consistently at the linebacker position, so I have nothing to go off of. At least with the other guys we mentioned, and Simmons and Styles and Jackson, we got a lot of film that we can utilize to dissect and detect the things that make them highly desirable football players, and also the things that make them people that, well, need to work on a lot of things. Now, some of the older guys that I think are good, but I don't know how they'll be. Lathan Ransom, I think, is going to get drafted. I do. I know some say he may be a middle to late round NFL draft pick. I think the injuries hurt him in a big way, unfortunately. Injury as a freshman, injury last year as a junior, and he could have gone to the NFL. Still don't think it would have been wise based on the injury that he suffered last year. I still think Lathan Ransom, though, I mean, if he plays really good ball, really, really good ball, you're looking at a second-round pick. And making a lot of money by staying at Ohio State. But also, Cody Simon, I right now I would say no. I mean, then again, is he better than Steel Chambers? Probably. Is he better than Tommy Eichenberg? No. So think about it. Steel Chambers, undrafted free agent. Tommy Eichenberg, 5th round. I don't know what the other linebacker situations are for next year, so what they might be for next year's draft. I don't know all of that. But I think if Cody Simon plays good ball and his instincts get a whole lot better, that's what really helped Eichenberg in this process. I do think Cody Simon could get drafted, but right now I'll probably say no. McLaughlin, Fryer, Scott Jr., Howard, got to see a whole lot more. A whole lot more. If McLaughlin's going to be a center, he snapped like he did last year, or he does that again at Ohio State. Why would anybody draft a center that can't snap? The draft class next year could be big. And ultimately, it's one of those things, these guys staying makes them money, helps Ohio State out, and they might get a ring in the process. We haven't talked about guys going to the portal from Ohio State in quite a long time until today. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friend to complete albums for big prices, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton included their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. We have not talked about the portal in this way in quite a long time. I am a person who, when it comes to the transfer portal, what do I want to do? Talk about it, dissect it, look at what's going on, look at what's not going on, and try to figure out where Ohio State fits in the mix of it. Well, currently right now, Ohio State had said just a few guys. I think I said the over-under at 5.5, and I expected over. We're under that right now. Jeremy Birmingham of the podcast and of Rivals. What is he said at 7.5 on the podcast daily, I believe it was. Over under set at 7.5 of the number of Buckeyes that would enter the portal during this window. And it's under that too. So I believe Dallin Hayden, Cedric Hawkins, and now Jahad Carter have entered the portal. Dallin Hayden has since transferred to Colorado. Cedric Hawkins has transferred back to the Sunshine State where he is from to play for UCF in Orlando. And then now Jahad Carter is entering the transfer portal for the second time in his career playing college football. And this is one when he transferred to Ohio State, and I said, oh, Jahad Carter, multi-year starter at Syracuse, used a similar defense, the safety-driven defense that Ohio State uses, played something similar at Syracuse. So I thought it was going to be a good match. But what do you find? Jahad Carter dealt with injuries. Jahad Carter played a little bit, but he did deal with injuries. But also, he's playing on a team where the guys are just better than him. And that's not really something that, I mean, he can help it, but he didn't do enough. It couldn't do enough to raise the level that he is viewed at right now before saying, hey, it's time for me to go. And I understand it. I am not mad about this at all. If he believes it's time for him to go and he's not going to get any playing time at Ohio State, so be it. Now, the name Jahad Carter, you may say, Jay, that name doesn't really ring a bell. Did he play in the spring game? Jahad Carter was hurt last year, hurt again this year. Not sure why. Actually, I'll talk about that. There's a thought in my head about the injuries. I'm going to get there in a second. But Jahad Carter is one of those guys, has some good ball left in him. He really does. Does he go back to Syracuse where he once played football? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But think about the safety situation right now at Ohio State. Who are your deep safeties? Lathan Ransom, Caleb Downs. Ain't nothing Jahad Carter can do if you get that role. Jordan Hancock at the nickel. Ain't nothing Jahad Carter can do to take that role. Then you have guys like Malik Hartford, Jaden Ponsu, Jermaine Matthews Jr. Now, Matthews Jr. may play a little nickel this year in the backup role instead of playing outside corner, but what are you looking at? Jahad Carter is not getting over them. This is not a knock on Carter's abilities to play the football. This is more the realization that the guys that are in the room that are on the defense at Ohio State, even if they're newcomers, they're just better. And I understand it. But that thought about the injuries that I had, I got to get there because I haven't really done this in a while, but it's been on my head for a while. Why are guys getting hurt so much? Why? Now, the Ohio State's injuries, they're not the only school dealing with the injury bug. They're not. But it's weird. We talk about this all the time. Now, Ohio State's offensive line, one of the most physically demanding positions on the field. It's O-line, D-line, whichever one you rank as one. The other one is they close two. Whichever one you rank as two, it's a close one. Like it's that close. But the O-line at Ohio State doesn't really get hurt. The D-line at Ohio State of late hasn't really gotten hurt. There's other positions that are physically opposing in this football. Back-to-back years, you have really good. I think back-to-back years. Where one of your better receivers is hurt. Jackson Smith-Njigba got hurt. Emeka Egbuka got hurt. And what are you finding? Guys keep getting hurt. And a lot of it is lower body injuries, your legs, your shins, your ankles, your knees. And what are these teams playing on so many times throughout the year? It is that turf that looks great on TV. It looks phenomenal on TV. It's a whole lot easier to maintain as an athletic director or grounds crew than the old grass that teams used to play on. I am not going to be crazy enough to say that, no, the grass is going to make things easier for you. It's not. It's not at all. But as more and more teams play on the turf, what are you going to find? I'm not going to do all the mores again, but just think about that. How many mores I said? There will be that many more and more players getting injured by playing on the turf. The turf surface causes more injuries than playing on grass. Now, that surface is not as forgiving as you would like. It is not. That surface, it's solid, baby. It's solid. It's stuck in there. At least with grass, there's a little bit of give, and it's better for your body than the turf is. But how do they go back to the grass? The Big Ten either has to rule it. I don't think the NCAA can govern the fields and the stadiums in college football. I don't think so. But I do know this. If there's a governing body, whenever that thing is actually formed, and they say, hey, no more turf fields, everything's on grass, so be it. So be it. And some people may say, Jay, no, we want the turf. Okay, cool. Want the turf. Players will keep getting hurt. I'm not going to say this and say a school, but there's a school in the area that I live in that has made a lot of posts on the Twitter about different teams in the area. This is a baseball team. Different teams in the area that have turf fields. And I think what he is doing is trying to purposefully, I believe it's the baseball coach of this team, the head baseball coach. Don't exactly know who runs the account, but I do know this. There's a reason why they keep retweeting and quote tweeting and doing all of those things to talk about those turf fields in the area and how nice they look and how well how easy it is to maintain and how much the players love playing on the turf. I understand it. I get it. But keep this in mind. Jihad Carter had injuries. I'm not saying the turf cost him, but it could have been a big reason why he got hurt. Also, number two, if you want players to keep playing on the turf, what might happen? More and more players might keep getting hurt. It's just the nature of the beast. I don't like it. You don't like it. Nobody does. But it's just the reality of the situation. The reality of our situation is we're almost up out of here on this Tuesday. I want to make a quick, there were some technical difficulties, quick statement for yesterday's show, which is why that show got up 6 hours later. Yeah, it was that bad. 6 hours later than normal, but that show did get up yesterday. Apologies for that not coming out at its normal time, but this show today will be out at its normal time, 6 a.m. Eastern time on the YouTube. It premieres there every single day, Monday through Friday. So if you're wondering, Jay, when does the video get launched and when does it go live? 6 a.m. Eastern every day on the YouTube. But also, there will be extra shows that get released and some shorts that hit your feed. Hit that bell so you are notified every time a short form or a long form video from this channel goes live. Have you heard the big news? Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on the YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. Send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.